The rain hammered against the diner windows like it was trying to get in. Inside, beneath the tired hum of old neon lights, a young man sat across from a woman who looked like she had been dragged out of a storm and forgotten on the side of the road. Her clothes were torn and caked in mud, her hair stuck to her face, and her hands shook as if they hadn't held anything warm in a long time. He held a simple sandwich in his fingers, lifting it gently toward her lips. She hesitated, eyes darting around, ashamed of the people who might be watching, ashamed of herself. But hunger and exhaustion broke through her pride. She opened her mouth, and he fed her like someone might feed a frightened child, patient and calm. Next to her on the table, an old camera rested, its metal scratched, its strap frayed, like a quiet witness to a life that had gone very wrong. Behind the glass, blurred by raindrops, a man in a white and gold thobe stood perfectly still, watching them. His clothes alone whispered of money and power, a stark contrast to the soaked parking lot and the cheap vinyl seats inside. His dark eyes didn't leave the scene, the single dad sharing his breakfast with a stranger who had nothing. In that silent moment, none of them knew that this small act of kindness in a nearly empty diner would pull them into an emotional story about second chances, a hidden past, and a millionaire sheikh who was about to change a life in a way no one could predict. Before we begin this emotional story, tell us in the comments from which city you are watching, and don't forget to leave your like to keep following us. The rain hadn't let up when Noah stepped out of the diner booth to grab a few napkins. His son Liam was at school, unaware that his father had taken the morning off after another night of patchy sleep and overdue bills spreading across the kitchen counter. Noah had gotten used to stretching a few dollars into a full day, coffee for himself, breakfast for his boy, nothing unnecessary. But that morning when he saw the woman stumbling across the parking lot, soaked and shaking, something in him refused to pretend he didn't notice. She sat now across from him, her shoulders curled inward as if she were trying to hide inside her own frame. Her mud-stained shirt clung to her skin, and each breath came out in uneven, fragile lines. He didn't ask her name. He didn't ask what had happened. He simply slid half of his sandwich toward her. When she couldn't bring herself to pick it up, he lifted it for her. Her eyes flickered with the kind of humiliation that only comes from long silence and too many closed doors. She chewed slowly, as if each bite carried its own memory. A faint tremor ran through her fingers when she reached for the water glass, and he steadied it for her without saying a word. Outside, the man in the white and gold garment hadn't moved. He stood under the awning, protected from the rain but strangely exposed, as if something about the scene inside rooted him in place. The delicate embroidery on his robe shimmered against the grey morning. He wasn't just passing by. His gaze held purpose, recognition, or maybe something he hadn't decided to understand yet. Inside, the diner workers pretended not to stare. A couple at the counter whispered behind their menus. Noah ignored all of it. His focus stayed on the woman, whose breathing slowly softened with the warmth of food and shelter. When she finally spoke, her voice cracked. Why are you helping me?" He didn't answer right away. He watched the way her eyes avoided his, how she tensed as if expecting judgment. "Because you look like you need someone to sit with you," he said quietly. "And I've had days like that." A faint shift passed across her face. Not relief, not trust, but the first tiny crack in a wall she had held up for far too long. Noah didn't notice the shadow that moved closer to the window, or the way the stranger outside slowly raised a hand, pressing his palm to the glass as if testing the distance between their worlds. And then the diner door opened, letting in cold air, and the man in white stepped inside. The bell above the diner door chimed with a soft metallic ring as the man in white stepped inside. The air shifted. Conversations paused. Forks hovered midair, and the waitress, who had been refilling coffee, froze for a heartbeat before offering a nervous smile. His presence didn't feel loud. It felt precise, like a blade sliding between moments. Rainwater dripped from the hem of his robe, leaving small dark circles on the tile floor. He scanned the room briefly before his gaze settled on Noah's booth. The sight of the muddy woman, the untouched half of Noah's breakfast, the old camera beside her, pulling him forward like a silent command. Noah didn't look up at first. He was watching the woman wipe her mouth with a napkin, her hands trembling despite the warmth of the diner. But something in the woman's eyes changed. She stiffened, her breath catching, and only then did Noah turn. The man stopped at their table. Up close, his expression wasn't stern or judgmental. It was searching, threaded with a quiet intensity, as though he were holding back a recognition he wasn't ready to voice. "I apologize for intruding," he said in a calm, low voice. His accent carried the warmth of distant deserts, deep and steady. "May I sit for a moment?" Noah hesitated. The woman flinched, shrinking into the booth as if trying to disappear into the cracked vinyl. Noah glanced at her first, letting her reaction guide him. "If it's all right with her," he said gently. The man turned to her, not staring at the mud or the torn clothes, but at her eyes. "I mean no harm," he said softly. "I only wish to speak." She didn't nod, didn't speak. She merely blinked, unable to hide the flicker of fear. Noah shifted slightly closer to her, his arm resting behind her shoulders, not touching but near enough to be a lifeline. The man took the hint. Instead of sitting, he bowed his head slightly. "Forgive me. I saw you from outside, and I felt compelled to come in." Noah frowned. "Why?" The man's gaze drifted to the camera on the table. A brief, almost invisible tightening moved across his jaw. "Because I believe I might know who she is." The woman's fingers closed around the camera instinctively, gripping it with sudden strength. Her breathing quickened. Noah leaned forward just an inch, enough to create a wall of presence between her and the stranger. "Sir," Noah said, voice steady, "she's not in a place to talk about anything right now." The man nodded, accepting this. "I understand." He reached slowly into an inner pocket and pulled out a sleek black card, placing it on the table with deliberate care. A gold emblem gleamed at its center. "If you need help, real help, call this number. Any hour, any day." The woman stared at the card without touching it. Noah didn't take it either. The man stepped back, his eyes lingering on her with a mixture of sorrow and recognition deeper than curiosity. When he left, the bell chimed again. The rain swallowed him. Noah waited for a moment before turning to her. Her grip on the camera had grown so tight her knuckles were white. "Do you know him?" he asked quietly. Her breath hitched. She swallowed hard. I used to," she whispered, as if the truth itself tasted like pain. Outside, the man in white paused under the rain, watching the diner window one last time, before disappearing into the grey morning. And inside, the question hung between them, unanswered, trembling, and too heavy for the warmth of that diner to hold. The diner slowly returned to its usual rhythm, but something in the air around their booth remained tight and fragile. The woman, still clutching her old camera, kept her eyes fixed on the rain-streaked window, as if the man in white might reappear at any moment and shatter whatever strength she had left. Noah waited. He had learned through years of raising Liam alone that silence sometimes held more truth than questions. Still, when her shoulders began to shake in the faintest, almost invisible rhythm, he leaned closer, not touching her, but letting his voice soften. "Hey, you don't have to tell me anything," he said, "but you're safe here. No one's going to take anything from you." Her lips parted. She nodded barely. Her fingers loosened slightly around the camera, tracing the scratches on its metal body with the care someone might show an old scar. The waitress approached timidly, setting down a bowl of hot oatmeal in front of the woman. "On the house," she murmured, before walking away again. The woman blinked at the steam rising from the bowl, as if warmth itself felt unfamiliar. Noah watched her breathe in the faint smell of cinnamon. Her throat tightened. "Thank you," she whispered, not to the waitress, but to him. He smiled gently. "Eat first. Talk later if you want." She lifted the spoon, but her hand trembled too much. Noah pretended not to notice, looking at the condensation sliding down his coffee mug as she steadied herself. After a few bites, color returned to her cheeks. Not much, but enough to soften the exhaustion etched into her expression. She set the spoon down carefully, folding her hands in her lap as if bracing herself. "My name is Mira," she said quietly. "I haven't said that out loud in months." Noah repeated it softly. "Mira." She closed her eyes when he said it, as though the sound carried both comfort and pain. "That man, the one who came in," she continued. "I knew him, years ago, before everything fell apart. Noah leaned forward slightly. Is he someone dangerous? Her head shook quickly. No, not dangerous, just from a life that isn't mine anymore. She hesitated, her gaze dropping to the camera again. She drew it closer, her fingers brushing the worn shutter button. I used to be a photographer, a good one. I traveled, worked, lived well. Then, something happened. Something that ruined everything. Noah didn't push. He noticed the way her eyes drifted toward the card the man had left behind, still lying untouched, like a small black secret on the table. She swallowed hard. His name is Sheikh Zayed Al-Rahman. He came to America years ago, quiet, private, looking for artists for a project in Dubai. Her fingers tightened. He hired me. I worked for him, traveled with him. He was kind, respectful, different. What happened between you? Noah asked gently. Mira's breath trembled. A fire, she whispered. One that wasn't supposed to happen. People were hurt, and they blamed me because I was the photographer who documented the building. I was accused, ruined, and he didn't defend me. He disappeared. Just like that. Her voice cracked, not loud but sharp enough to cut through the warmth of the diner. Noah's chest tightened. And now he's here. Mira nodded, tears gathering but refusing to fall. He's here. And I don't know if he came because he regrets something, or because he wants to finish what the world already started. Before Noah could respond, a shadow passed near the window. Mira stiffened instantly, her hand clutching his sleeve for the first time. Noah, she whispered, barely breathing, please don't let him near me again. Outside, the figure slowed, turning toward the door. The shadow outside lingered only a second before moving on, but Mira's fingers stayed locked around Noah's sleeve long after the figure had disappeared. Her breathing was shallow, uneven, each inhale catching like it hurt. Noah didn't pull his arm away. He let her hold on until the tremor in her hand eased just enough for her to release him. It's not him, Noah murmured softly, watching the door. You're okay. You're here with me. Mira nodded, though her eyes remained fixed on the window. The world outside felt like a threat she could not outrun, even with a warm meal in her stomach and a roof over her head. The rain had softened into a thin drizzle, the kind that blurred shapes and made it impossible to tell who or what was on the other side of the glass. She wiped her face quickly, as if afraid to show too much. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm not usually like this. You don't owe me an explanation, Noah said. You're allowed to be scared. His voice steadied her more than he realized. The tension in her shoulders loosened just a little. Her fingers returned to the old camera, tracing its dents and scratches as though each mark held the last pieces of her life before everything burned down. The fire, Noah said gently. Was it really your fault? Mira froze. For a long moment she didn't speak. Then she shook her head. Once, slowly but with certainty carved into the movement. No, but I couldn't prove it. My files were destroyed, my hard drives, everything. I had nothing left but this camera. She lifted it slightly, its weight heavy in her hands. This was with me that day. It survived. I didn't. Noah leaned back, studying her face, the way she swallowed hard as if holding back memories that still burned. So why didn't he defend you? He asked softly. The Sheikh, Zayed. Her eyes clouded over. He wasn't just my employer. He was my friend. A thin breath escaped her. I thought he believed in me. I thought he'd speak up. Instead, he left for Dubai the same night the accusations went public. No message, no call, nothing. Noah felt something twist in his chest, a mix of anger for her and a rising worry he didn't want to name. Because the way the Sheikh had looked at Mira wasn't cold, it was haunted. Before he could respond, Mira reached into her pocket and pulled out a small, folded paper. She unfolded it with trembling hands, smoothing it on the table. It was a notice of eviction, dated 2 days ago. Noah stared at the paper. Mira, where have you been staying? She hesitated before answering. A bus stop, not far from here. The word struck him harder than she expected. His jaw tightened. In this weather? She nodded. I didn't have anywhere else to go. A beat of silence. "Come with me," Noah said suddenly. Mira looked up, startled. "What?" "I'm not letting you go back to a bus stop in the rain." His voice didn't waver. "I have a couch. It's not much, but it's warm. And my son's at school until late. You can rest, eat, figure things out." She shook her head quickly. "No, Noah, I can't do that. I don't want to burden you." "You're not a burden," he said. "You're a person who needs help. And right now I can help." Her eyes filled, not with fear this time, but with something fragile and nearly forgotten, the feeling of being seen. Before she could answer, the diner door opened again. A gust of cold wind swept in, and the sheikh stepped inside for the second time, his eyes finding Mira instantly as if he had never left. The diner's bell chimed again, sharper this time, as Sheikh Zayed stepped inside with purpose in his stride. The rain no longer clung to him. His presence cut through the room with a quiet authority that made conversations die mid-sentence. Mira's body tensed, her fingers tightening around the eviction notice as if it could shield her. Noah moved subtly, angling his body between them. He didn't raise his voice or posture aggressively. His calm presence alone formed a barrier she could lean on. Zayed stopped before the table. He didn't reach out, didn't sit. He simply lowered his gaze to Mira with a depth that softened the hard lines of his face. "Mira," he said quietly, "please, don't run from me." Her breath shook. "What do you want?" Zayed swallowed, struggling for words before finally saying, "I came back to find you." Mira's eyes widened. A shaken laugh escaped her, bitter, thin. "You disappeared when my life burned down." "I know," he whispered, "and I've carried that shame every day since." Noah watched Mira's shoulders falter. He didn't interrupt. "There was an investigation," Zayed continued. "I wasn't allowed to speak publicly. My statements were sealed. But I never believed you were guilty." Mira's face crumpled. "Then why didn't you come to me?" "Because the moment I tried," he said softly, "you were already gone. Out of the country, unreachable, and I assumed you had chosen to cut ties, that you hated me." Silence fell. Outside, the drizzle tapped softly against the window. "I found out only weeks ago that the real culprit confessed," he said. "The charges were dropped without your knowledge. You were never supposed to be homeless. You were never supposed to be alone." Mira's lips parted, her world shifting beneath her. Zayed placed a folded document on the table, clean, official, stamped. "Your name is cleared. Your reputation is restored." Her hand trembled as she reached for it, but Noah placed his hand gently over hers first, grounding her. Zayed looked at Noah then, not with challenge, but gratitude. "Thank you for protecting her." Noah nodded once. "She needed someone." Zayed lowered his eyes. "She still does." Mira looked between them, between the man from her past and the man who had fed her breakfast, and felt her heart split open in a way she hadn't expected. Mira stared at the cleared name document, her fingers hovering above it like she was afraid it might vanish. For months she had slept under bus stop roofs, clutching her camera like the last piece of her identity, never imagining that the truth had been sitting in sealed folders oceans away. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "All this time, I thought I was ruined." Zayed's expression softened. "You were never ruined. You were abandoned by a system that failed you, and by me." He drew a subtle breath, as if admitting the last part cost him something. "I searched for you again when the confession came forward. I hired investigators. They found nothing, until this morning." Mira blinked. "This morning?" "Yes," he replied. "I was driving past the bus station when I saw you. I wasn't sure it was you at first. Your hair, your clothes." He lowered his gaze, the ache in his voice unmasked. "But when you lifted that camera, even in the rain, I knew." Mira pressed the camera to her chest. That simple gesture, protective, trembling, made Noah's heart tighten. She looked small, breakable, caught between two worlds, neither of which had kept her safe. Noah's voice entered gently. "Mira, what do you want to do?" "Not what he wants. Not what I want. You." She looked at him, her eyes flickering with gratitude, confusion, fear. Too many emotions colliding at once. I don't know, she whispered. I don't know where I belong anymore. Zaid stepped back, giving her space. You don't have to decide now. I only ask for a chance to explain everything properly. Not here, not in a diner with strangers watching. Mira followed his gaze around the room. People pretended not to look, but curiosity hung thick in the air. And if I say no? She asked. Zaid nodded respectfully. Then I will honor that. I won't chase you again, but I will still make sure you're safe. Mira turned toward Noah, silently seeking something. Permission, perhaps, or courage. Noah met her eyes, steady and warm. You don't have to face anything alone, he said softly. If you want to talk to him, I'll go with you. Mira's breath trembled. You'd do that? Of course. His tone carried no hesitation. For the first time since the rain-soaked morning began, Mira's posture changed. She straightened slowly, breathing deeper, almost like someone relearning how to stand. Okay, she whispered, but not alone. She glanced at Zaid, then back at Noah. Both of you. They left the diner together, stepping into the soft drizzle that clung to the sidewalks like a fading memory. Mira walked between Noah and Zaid, her camera pressed to her chest, her breath slow but steadier. The world outside felt different now, still uncertain, but no longer something she had to face alone. Zaid led them to a quiet corner of the parking lot, where a black SUV waited with its engine humming softly. He didn't open the door, didn't rush her. He simply stood there, hands clasped, his voice low. Mira, the company you worked for in Dubai wants you back, not out of pity. They reviewed your work again, they remembered who you were before the accusations. There is a position waiting for you, creative director. You deserve to have your life returned to you. Mira's breath hitched, but she didn't look away. And you? She asked. Why are you really here, Zaid? He hesitated. His tone softened. Because I failed you once, and I won't let your story end in a bus stop. She absorbed his words, then turned to Noah. He wasn't dressed in gold or wealth. He stood in an old jacket, hands in his pockets, rain in his hair. But warmth radiated from him in a way money could never imitate. Noah gave her a quiet nod. Whatever you choose, I'm proud of you for standing. And something settled inside her, clear, deep, and finally calm. I don't want my old life back, she said softly. I want a new one I build slowly, with people who don't disappear. She looked at Noah. Take me home, she whispered. And Noah gently reached for her arm, guiding her toward a future she wasn't afraid of anymore. Talachid bowed his head, not defeated but peaceful, because sometimes redemption meant letting someone go toward the place they truly belonged. Weeks later, Mira sat on Noah's small porch, sunlight warming her skin as Liam played with her old camera, laughing every time the shutter clicked. The eviction notice was gone. In its place, a letter from the local community center confirmed the start of her first photography workshop. A quiet beginning, honest, steady, and hers to shape. Zaid had kept his word. He funded the workshop anonymously, ensuring she could rebuild without fear or debt. And though he returned to Dubai, he sent one final message. May your new story be brighter than the one you survived. Mira tucked the note inside her camera bag, next to a small photo of her, Noah, and Liam, one she hadn't asked for, but had already come to treasure. Surrounded by kindness, dignity, forgiveness, and the fragile beauty of second chances, she finally felt whole again. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this heart-touching story. Tell us in the comments which moment touched you the most. Subscribe and turn on the bell to receive more stories that inspire and transform. Leave a like if you believe in the invisible strength of kindness, dignity, and family. And thank you for being part of this community that believes in stories with soul.